stare at my phone screen, and my coffee goes cold in my hand. The photo shouldn't exist. It's me, asleep, face down in my pillow, one arm dangling off the side of the bed, exactly how I sleep every night. The timestamp reads 3:33 a.m. last night. But that's not what makes my skin crawl. It's the angle. The shot is taken from directly above, from somewhere near the ceiling. I can see the entire layout of my bed, the rumpled navy sheets, even the charging cable snaking across my nightstand. It's a bird's eye view of my most vulnerable moment. My studio apartment is on the 12th floor of a modern building in downtown Seattle. The rain is hammering against the floor-to-ceiling windows right now, just like it was last night. I live alone. I always double-bolt the door. I always latch the windows. So who the hell took this picture? My thumb hovers over the delete button, but I don't press it. Instead, I swipe left. My breath catches. There's another one. Same angle, same timestamp. But in this one, my face is partially visible, turned toward the camera. My eyes are closed, my expression peaceful, unaware. I swipe again. 3 photos total, all from 3:33 a.m. All impossible. The apartment suddenly feels smaller. The rain sounds louder. I set my coffee down on the kitchen counter. My kitchen is basically just a corner of the room, and force myself to think logically. First thought, someone hacked my phone and uploaded these remotely. I check my cloud storage. Nothing uploaded last night. I check my photo stream settings. Everything's locked down. These photos were taken on this device, not sent to it. Second thought, I took them myself. Sleepwalking. Some kind of weird accident, but I don't sleepwalk. Never have. And even if I did, how would I climb onto my own ceiling? I look up. The ceiling is smooth white drywall, about 9 feet high. There's a single smoke detector near the door, a recessed light fixture above the kitchen area, and I freeze. Above my bed, there's a ventilation grate. It's small, maybe 12 inches by 8 inches, the kind that blends into the ceiling so you forget it's even there. I've lived here for 2 years and barely noticed it, until now. I grab my desk chair, drag it to the edge of the bed and climb up. My hands are shaking as I reach toward the grate. It's just barely within reach if I stand on my toes. The metal is cool under my fingers. I give it a gentle tug. It moves. Not much, just a 1/4 inch, but it definitely moves. My pulse is hammering in my ears now, louder than the rain. I pull harder, and the grate comes free with a soft scraping sound. I set it carefully on the bed and look up into the dark rectangular opening. It's shallow, just a narrow duct space, maybe 8 inches deep, but it's wide enough for someone to wedge themselves in, wide enough to point a phone downward. I shine my phone's flashlight into the opening. There's nothing there now, just dust and darkness. But there's something else. Scratches. Fresh scratches in the metal, like someone recently gripped the edges. And near the back of the duct space, barely visible, something pale catches the light. I reach in, my arm trembling, and pull it out. It's a piece of paper, folded once. The edges are crisp, like it was placed there recently. I unfold it. 5 words, written in blocky handwriting. You have 7 hiding spots. The paper slips from my fingers and drifts to the floor. 7 hiding spots. In my 400-square-foot studio apartment. I spin around, scanning every inch of the space. My bed against the wall, my desk near the window, the kitchen area, the bathroom door, the narrow coat closet by the entrance. Everything looks exactly as it always does. But someone's been here. Someone's been inside. I grab my phone again and pull up the building's security app. I pay extra for the premium package. Digital locks, motion sensors, 24/7 camera access. I scroll to last night's footage from the hallway outside my door. Nothing. No one enters. No one leaves. I check the lobby cameras, the parking garage, the stairwells. Nothing. My door never opened. The building was secure, but someone took those photos. Someone left that note, which means they didn't break in. They were already inside. I look around my apartment again, and this time, I'm not seeing furniture and walls. I'm seeing possibilities, spaces I never thought about. The gap beneath my bed, the back of my closet, the cabinet under the bathroom sink. 7 hiding spots. I pull out my bed from the wall. Nothing but dust bunnies and a stray sock. I yank open the closet door and shove aside my jackets. Empty. I check under the kitchen sink, behind the shower curtain, inside the storage ottoman I use as a coffee table. Nothing, but I've only checked 5 spots. There are 2 more. I'm standing in the center of the room now, slowly turning in a circle. The rain has picked up, drumming against the windows like fingers tapping for attention. It's 11:47 a.m. broad daylight. I should feel safe, but I don't, because somewhere in this apartment, in one of the 2 spots I haven't found yet, someone might still be hiding. watching, waiting, and I have less than 16 hours until 3:33 a.m. comes around again. I don't leave the apartment. That's the first decision I make. Whoever left that note wants me to know they've been here, which means they're playing a game. And if I run, if I call the police, if I make any predictable move, I lose whatever tiny advantage I might have. Besides, what would I even tell them? That I found photos on my own phone and a creepy note? They'd check the security footage, see nothing, and assume I'm either pranking them or losing my mind. No, I need to find the last 2 hiding spots myself. I spend the next hour methodically dismantling my life. I pull every book off my small bookshelf and check behind them. I empty my dresser drawers and inspect the backing. I even unscrew the panel behind my wall-mounted TV, expecting to find some hollow space. Nothing. By 1:15 p.m., I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, sweating despite the cool air from the AC vent. The rain has finally stopped, leaving the windows streaked and grey. Seattle's skyline stretches out below me, a forest of glass and steel. From up here, I can see the Space Needle in the distance, ferries cutting across Elliott Bay. Everything looks normal, but nothing is normal. I open the photos again, studying them frame by frame. In the first one, my face is mostly hidden. In the second, I'm turned slightly, but it's the third photo that makes me pause. There's something in the background. I zoom in, pinching the screen until the pixels blur. On my nightstand, next to my charging phone, there's a glass of water. I always keep water by my bed, but in the photo, there's something floating in it. A small, white object. I zoom closer. It's a pill, half dissolved. My stomach drops. I don't take medication, ever. I barely even take aspirin. But last night, apparently, there was something in my water. That's why I didn't wake up. That's why someone could climb into my ceiling vent, take photos, leave a note and vanish without me stirring once. They drugged me. The realization hits like cold water. This isn't random. This is planned, methodical. Someone's been studying me, learning my routine, waiting for the right moment. But why? I stand up and walk to the bathroom, my legs unsteady. I need to think. I stop in the doorway. The bathroom mirror is fogged, not completely, just a thin layer of condensation around the edges, like someone recently took a hot shower, but I haven't showered since last night, and that was over 12 hours ago. I step closer, my reflection distorted in the foggy glass. There's writing, faint, almost invisible. Someone used their finger to write in the condensation, and the words have mostly faded, but I can still make them out if I tilt my head just right. Spot 6. Look up. I look up. The bathroom ceiling is lower than the main room, maybe 7.5 feet. There's a single recessed light fixture and an exhaust fan grate near the shower. The exhaust fan. I drag my desk chair into the bathroom and climb up, my hands slick with sweat. The fan grate is held in place by 2 screws. I use a butter knife from the kitchen to twist them loose. The grate comes off easily. Inside, instead of a normal fan mechanism, there's a hollow space. Someone removed the actual fan unit. The duct behind it leads up into darkness, but the opening is wide enough for a person to squeeze through if they're small and flexible enough. And there's something wedged in the corner. A phone. Not mine. A burner phone. Cheap and plastic. It's powered off, but when I press the button, the screen lights up. No passcode. There's only one app installed. A photo gallery. I open it. My blood turns to ice. Dozens of photos. All of me. Sleeping, eating, working at my desk, standing at the window. Some are taken from the ceiling vent in the main room, others from this exhaust fan, a few from angles I can't even identify yet. The timestamps go back weeks. This person has been living in my walls for weeks. I scroll faster, my breath coming in short gasps. There are notes attached to some of the photos. Leaves for work at 7:45 a.m. every weekday. Orders Thai food on Fridays. Double checks locks before bed. They've documented everything. But the last photo is different. It's not of me, it's a selfie, taken from inside the exhaust fan duct, looking down into my bathroom. The angle is disorienting, claustrophobic, and in the center of the frame, barely visible in the darkness, is a face. A woman. She's young, maybe late 20s, with sharp features and dark hair pulled back tight. She's not smiling. She's staring directly into the camera with an expression that's almost bored, clinical, like she's documenting a science experiment. Below the photo, there's a caption, "See you at 3:33. The phone slips from my hands and clatters into the sink. She's still here. Somewhere in this apartment, in the 7th hiding spot I still haven't found, she's waiting. She's been here the whole time I've been tearing the place apart, watching me panic, watching me search, and she's not leaving until 3:33 a.m. I climb down from the chair, my legs shaking so badly I almost fall. I need to think. I need to find that seventh spot before nightfall, before she decides the game is over. I check the time on my phone, 2:38 p.m., 13 hours left. I walk back into the main room and stand in the center, forcing myself to breathe slowly, to think like her. If I were hiding in a 400 square foot space, where would I go that someone wouldn't find me? The ceiling vents, found. The exhaust fan, found. Under the bed, in the closets, behind furniture, all checked. Where else? I look at the walls. They're standard drywall, painted a neutral beige. There's no way someone cut a hole without me noticing. I look at the floor. Hardwood, sealed tight, no loose boards. I look at the windows. My apartment has floor-to-ceiling windows along one wall, the kind that make you feel like you're floating above the city. They don't open. This is a modern building, all climate-controlled, but between the window glass and the interior wall there's a gap, a narrow gap, maybe 8 inches wide, where the HVAC system runs vertically through the building. I walk to the window and press my face against the glass, looking down into the gap. It's dark, but there's a service panel at floor level, barely visible beneath the radiator unit. I kneel down and pull the radiator away from the wall. It's heavier than it looks, and I have to drag it several inches before I can access the panel. There are 4 screws holding it in place. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely grip the butter knife. It takes me 5 full minutes to remove all 4 screws. When the panel finally comes loose, I pull it away and shine my phone's flashlight into the gap. There's a vertical shaft just wide enough for a person to stand in if they turn sideways. It runs the full height of the building, with metal rungs bolted to the interior wall like a ladder, and at the bottom of the shaft, maybe 3 feet down, there's a blanket, a pillow, a backpack. Someone's been living here. I reach down with my phone, trying to get a better angle, and that's when I see it. Scratched into the metal wall of the shaft right at eye level. "Spot 7, you're standing in it." I freeze. The main room, the place where I've been standing, pacing, panicking for the last 3 hours. What could possibly... And then I understand. I look up at the ceiling above me. Not at the vent, not at the lights, at the smoke detector. It's positioned directly above where I sleep, maybe 15 feet from the bed. I've never thought about it twice. But now that I'm looking, really looking, I notice something strange. It's slightly larger than a normal smoke detector, and the plastic casing has a faint seam running around the edge like it opens. I drag the chair over and climb up once more. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely grip the edges. The smoke detector twists counterclockwise. It comes off in my hands. Inside, where the battery and circuitry should be, there's a hollow space. And nestled in that space, perfectly fitted, is a tiny camera, still recording. The red light blinks once, twice, like a heartbeat. I'm staring into the lens when I hear it. A soft sound, behind me. The sound of someone breathing. I don't turn around. Every instinct screams at me to spin, to face whoever's behind me, but I force myself to stay absolutely still. The chair wobbles slightly under my weight. The camera's red light blinks again, indifferent. The breathing continues, soft, measured. "Close. You can get down now, Ethan." Her voice is calm, almost gentle, like a teacher addressing a student who's finally solved a difficult problem. I turn slowly, still standing on the chair, and see her for the first time in person. She's exactly like her selfie. Late 20s, dark hair pulled back, sharp features. She's wearing black jeans and a grey hoodie, both slightly dusty. She's standing near my desk, maybe 10 feet away, hands visible and empty at her sides. She's not holding a weapon. She's not blocking the door. She's just standing there, watching me with those same clinical, bored eyes. "Who are you?" My voice comes out steadier than I expected. "You can call me Claire." She tilts her head slightly. "Though that's not my real name, does it matter? What do you want?" She doesn't answer immediately. Instead, she walks slowly to my kitchen area and picks up my cold coffee mug. She sniffs it, makes a face, and sets it down. "I want you to understand something," she says finally. "This isn't personal. You're not special. You're not a target because of anything you did or didn't do. You're just convenient." "Convenient for what?" She leans against the counter, completely relaxed, like she's visiting a friend's apartment, not admitting to weeks of stalking. "Do you know how easy it is to disappear in a city like Seattle?" she asks. Hundreds of thousands of people, all living in their little boxes stacked on top of each other. Everyone's so focused on their own lives that they stop seeing what's right in front of them. She gestures around my apartment. "You've lived here for 2 years. Have you ever met your neighbors?" "I have, briefly. Mrs. Chen across the hall, the college kid 2 doors down, but I barely know them." "That's what I thought," Claire continues. "Modern living. Everyone's isolated even when they're surrounded by people. It makes things remarkably easy for someone like me." Someone like you, I repeat. What does that mean? She smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. I'm a researcher, Ethan. I study human behavior under stress. Specifically, I'm interested in how people react when their sense of safety is compromised. When they realize that the spaces they consider most secure, their homes, their bedrooms, their own bodies while they sleep, are actually incredibly vulnerable. My stomach twists. You're experimenting on me. I'm documenting, she corrects. There's a difference. Experiments require control groups and variables. This is observational research. You're living your life. I'm simply present for it. I climb down from the chair slowly, keeping my eyes on her. She doesn't move. The photos, I say. The note. You wanted me to find everything. Of course, that's the whole point. She pushes off from the counter and takes a few steps toward the window, looking out at the grey Seattle skyline. The initial phase was about baseline observation. How do you behave when you think you're alone and safe? But the second phase, the interesting phase, begins when you discover you've been watched. How does your behavior change? How does paranoia manifest? What decisions do you make? This is insane. Is it? She turns back to me. People volunteer for sleep studies all the time. They let strangers watch them, monitor their brainwaves, document their REM cycles. At least I'm honest about what I'm doing. I didn't volunteer for this. Details. She waves a hand dismissively. The principle is the same. I'm simply cutting out the bureaucracy. I edge toward the door. She notices but doesn't move to stop me. You're wondering if you can reach it before I do, she observes. You're calculating distances, running scenarios. Your heart rate just increased. I can see it in your neck. This is fascinating, actually. Even knowing I'm unarmed, even seeing that I'm smaller than you, your nervous system is in full fight or flight mode. Stay away from me. Ethan, I've been living in your walls for 3 weeks. If I wanted to hurt you, I've had countless opportunities. I watched you sleep. I could have done anything. She pauses. But I didn't, because that's not what this is about. Then what is it about? She checks her watch. A cheap digital one, the kind you buy at a drugstore. It's 4:17 p.m. We have 11 hours and 16 minutes until 3:33 a.m. I'm going to stay here until then, documenting your behavior, how you cope with my presence. Whether you try to leave, call for help, or attempt to physically remove me, it's all valuable data. And then what? At 3:33, you just leave. That depends on you. She walks to my bed and sits down on the edge, completely casual. If you cooperate, if you let me finish my observations, then yes, I'll leave. You'll never see me again. I'll even delete all the photos and videos, clean slate. And if I don't cooperate? Her expression doesn't change, but something cold flickers in her eyes. Then I move to phase 3. And trust me, Ethan, you don't want that. I'm still near the door. I could run. I could scream. This building has decent soundproofing, but if I made enough noise, someone would hear eventually. But what if she's telling the truth? What if she really will just leave in 11 hours? And what if she's lying? Why me? I ask. You said I was convenient. What does that mean? She considers the question, then nods like I've asked something worth answering. You live alone. You're predictable. You work from home most days, which gave me time to study your routines without risk. And most importantly, you're the kind of person who double-checks locks and closes windows. She smiles slightly. People who feel safest are the most interesting to study when that safety is stripped away. You're sick. I'm thorough. She lies back on my bed, staring up at the ceiling where the smoke detector used to be. Do you know what most people do when they find out they've been violated like this? They freeze. They call the police. They run. But you methodically searched every hiding spot. You documented everything. You tried to understand the situation before reacting. That's unusual, Ethan. That's why you're proving to be such a good subject. My phone is in my pocket. I could call 911 right now. But she's watching me so calmly, like she knows exactly what I'm thinking. Go ahead, she says, reading my expression. Call them. But think about what happens next. They arrive, they take your statement, they see the photos, the notes, the camera, they check the building security footage and find nothing. No evidence of forced entry, no record of me anywhere. She sits up, and then they start asking questions. How well do you sleep, Ethan? Any history of mental health issues? Have you been under unusual stress lately? Because from where they're standing, this looks a lot like an elaborate breakdown. You planned for that. I plan for everything. She stands and walks to the window, pressing one hand against the glass. But here's what I didn't plan for. You're smarter than I expected, more resilient. Most subjects break down by now, crying, yelling, begging. But you're still trying to solve the problem. That's admirable. Is that what you wrote in your notes? I ask bitterly. Subject shows admirable resilience? Something like that. I look around my apartment, my space, my sanctuary, and see it through her eyes now. A lab, a cage, a place where she's been watching me like an insect under glass. What happens at 3:33? I ask quietly. What's special about that time? For the first time, her expression shifts. Something almost like excitement crosses her face. That's when you fall asleep, Ethan. Every night, like clockwork, you're in deep sleep by 3:30. That's when people are most vulnerable, most honest. I've documented it extensively. She checks her watch again. And tonight, when that moment comes, I'm going to see how you handle it, knowing I'm here, knowing I'll be watching. Will you sleep? Will you fight to stay awake? Will you try to lock yourself in the bathroom? I'm not going to sleep with you here. We'll see. She moves back to the center of the room. You have 11 hours. I suggest you use them wisely. Eat something, hydrate, rest if you can, because at 3:33 a.m., one way or another, this ends. Ends how? She doesn't answer. Instead, she walks to my desk chair, pulls it to the corner near the window, and sits down. She crosses her arms and settles in like she's waiting for a movie to start. The observation continues, she says simply. Show me what you do next, Ethan. Surprise me. The apartment falls silent, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic 12 floors below. I have 11 hours until 3:33 a.m., and I have no idea if I'll survive until morning. The first hour passes in silence. Claire sits in the corner motionless, watching me with that same detached curiosity. I stay near the door, my back against the wall, phone clutched in my hand. Neither of us speaks. By 5:30 p.m., the sky outside has darkened to a bruised purple. Seattle's city lights begin to flicker on one by one, transforming the skyline into a grid of illuminated windows. Each one represents someone else's life, someone else's safety. I wonder if any of them are being watched too. You're thinking about running, Claire says suddenly, breaking the silence. You've looked at the door 17 times in the last hour, but you haven't moved. Why? I don't answer. She leans forward slightly. Is it because you're afraid I'll stop you? Or because you're curious to see how this ends? I'm not your lab rat, aren't you? She tilts her head. You're still here. That's a choice, Ethan. You could have left the moment you found the first photo. Called the police from a coffee shop. Stayed with a friend, but you didn't. You stayed and searched for every hiding spot. You engaged with the puzzle I created. She smiles faintly. On some level, you wanted to understand. That makes you complicit in your own observation. The words hit harder than I'd like to admit. She's right, I could have run, but something kept me here. Curiosity, stubbornness, maybe just the primal need to reclaim my own space, to prove I wasn't a victim. What happens if I leave now, I ask? Then the experiment ends incomplete. She shrugs. I disappear. You never see me again, but you'll spend the rest of your life wondering if I'm still out there, still watching. You'll check ceiling vents wherever you go. You'll never feel safe in your own home again. She pauses. Or you can stay, face the full experience, and at 3:33 a.m. when it's over, you'll have closure. You'll know exactly what happened and why. Isn't that worth 11 more hours? It's a trap, obviously, but she's offering something I desperately want, an ending. Tell me about phase 3, I say. Her expression doesn't change. You don't want to know. Yes, I do. You said if I don't cooperate, you move to phase 3. What does that mean? She's quiet for a long moment, considering. Then she stands and walks to the window, looking out at the city. Phase 3 is when observation becomes intervention, she says quietly. When I stop being passive and start actively shaping your behavior, introducing variables, creating scenarios. She turns to face me. It's where things get messy. You mean violent? I mean unpredictable. Fear is most powerful when it's ambiguous, when you don't know what's coming next. She takes a step closer. But we don't have to go there. That's entirely your choice. My phone buzzes in my hand, making me jump. A text from my co-worker, Jason. Still on for that deadline tomorrow? Need anything? Normal life, bleeding into this nightmare. I start to type a response, then stop. What would I even say? Claire watches me, intrigued. Are you going to tell him? Reach out for help. My thumb hovers over the keyboard. One message, that's all it would take. Call the police. Someone's in my apartment. But then what? Jason calls 911. Cops show up. Claire vanishes into one of her hiding spots before they arrive. No evidence, no proof, just me, alone in my apartment, looking paranoid and unstable. Or worse, she doesn't hide. She stays visible, and when the police arrive, she plays confused. I'm his girlfriend. We had a fight. He's been acting strange lately, officer, paranoid. Maybe you should check if he's been taking his medication. How well does she know me? Well enough to forge a believable story. Well enough to have planted evidence of a relationship I don't remember. I delete the text draft and pocket my phone. Smart choice, Claire murmurs. The second hour passes. Then the third. By 8 p.m. I'm exhausted. I haven't eaten since breakfast, and my body is running on pure adrenaline. Claire has barely moved from her position near the window. She doesn't check her phone, doesn't read, doesn't do anything except watch me. It's the stillness that's most unnerving. Most people fidget, shift position, look away, but she's perfectly comfortable with the silence, with the waiting. "Can I ask you something?" I finally say. "Of course. Have you done this before? To other people?" She considers the question. "Yes." "How many?" "You're number 7. 7 people. 7 apartments. 7 strangers who thought they were safe in their own homes. What happened to them? The others? They adapted, some faster than others. One man, subject 4, lasted only 3 hours before he ran screaming into the hallway. Subject 2 tried to attack me, which was educational. Subject 5 actually fell asleep around midnight. That was disappointing." She looks at me with renewed interest. "But you're different. You're still analyzing, still trying to find an angle. Where are they now, the other subjects?" "Living their lives, I assume. Changed, certainly. More aware of their vulnerability, but alive and functional." She pauses. "Except for Subject 3. My blood runs cold." "What happened to Subject 3? "He chose Phase 3. She says it so casually, like she's discussing a menu option. "He refused to cooperate, became hostile, so I had to escalate." "Did you—" I can't finish the question. "I'm not a murderer, Ethan. I'm a researcher." "But Phase 3 is unpredictable by design. Subject 3 had a pre-existing heart condition. The stress proved too much." She meets my eyes. "That wasn't intentional, but it was informative." Jesus Christ, she's not just a stalker. She's a sociopath with a methodology. "You can't keep doing this," I say, my voice shaking. "Eventually someone will catch you. Someone will—" "Will what? Believe them?" She laughs softly. "I'm very good at covering my tracks. I choose subjects carefully. Isolated people, minimal social connections, high-security buildings where residents trust the safety systems and stop trusting their own instincts." She gestures around my apartment. "You're perfect. You work from home. You order delivery. You barely interact with your neighbors. If you disappeared tomorrow, how long would it take before anyone noticed?" The answer makes me sick. Probably weeks. 9 p.m. 6.5 hours until 3:33. I'm sitting on the floor now, my back against the kitchen cabinets. Claire has moved to my bed, lying on top of the covers with her hands behind her head. She looks completely at ease. "Tell me about your research," I say. Talking is better than silence. "What's the point of all this? What are you trying to prove?" She's quiet for so long I think she won't answer. Then, "Do you know what the hardest thing about being human is, Ethan? It's the illusion of control. We build our lives on the assumption that we're safe, that we have agency, that our homes are sanctuaries and our privacy is real." She stares at the ceiling. "But it's all a lie. Any lock can be picked. Any system can be hacked. Any moment of peace can be shattered by someone who understands how fragile it all is. So you're trying to prove that everyone's vulnerable? That's your thesis?" "No. I'm trying to understand what happens when people confront that truth directly, how they adapt, how they break, how they rebuild." She turns her head to look at me. "You can learn a lot about someone by watching them in crisis. Their true nature comes out. No masks, no performance, just raw survival instinct." "And what have you learned about me?" She smiles. "That you're more resilient than you think, but also more isolated. You've built your entire life around routine and control because you're terrified of chaos. That's why this is so hard for you. It's not just that someone invaded your space, it's that I shattered your entire worldview." She's right, and I hate that she's right. 10 p.m., 5.5 hours. My exhaustion is becoming dangerous. I can feel my thoughts getting fuzzy, my reaction time slowing. Claire, meanwhile, looks fresh, alert, like she could do this for days. "How long can you stay awake?" she asks, as if reading my mind. "Most people start to hallucinate after 24 hours, make mistakes, lower their guard. Is that your plan, to outlast me?" "I'm not going to fall asleep." "Everyone sleeps eventually, Ethan. It's not a choice. It's biology." She checks her watch. "And at your normal bedtime, around midnight, your body will start producing melatonin. Your eyelids will get heavy, your thoughts will drift, and no amount of willpower can stop it forever." She's trying to psych me out, to make me believe I'm already defeated. But there's something she doesn't know. I do have a plan. 11 p.m. 4.5 hours. I stand up, stretching my stiff legs. Claire watches me carefully. "I'm going to make coffee," I announce. "By all means." I walk to the kitchen area, my movements slow and deliberate. I fill the kettle with water, set it on the stove, and pull out my French press. Claire's eyes never leave me. While the water heats, I reach into the cabinet for my coffee grounds. My hand brushes against something else, a bottle of sleeping pills I bought months ago for a red-eye flight to New York. I never used them. I palm the bottle carefully, keeping it hidden from Claire's view. The kettle whistles. I pour the water over the grounds, let it steep, then press the plunger down. The rich smell fills the apartment. "Would you like some?" I ask Claire. She raises an eyebrow. "Is this the part where you try to drug me? You drugged me last night." "True, but I was much more subtle about it." She stands and walks over. "Sure, I'll take a cup. Let's see what you're planning." I pour 2 mugs and slide one across the counter to her. She picks it up, smells it, then sets it down without drinking. "Nice try," she says, "but I'm not stupid. Neither am I." I take a long sip of my own coffee, making a show of it. "See? No tricks." She watches me for another moment, then shrugs and drinks from her own mug. Her expression doesn't change, but I notice her posture relax slightly. Midnight, 3.5 hours. We're both sitting now, facing each other across my small apartment. The coffee has helped clear my head, given me a second wind. Claire is still alert, but I notice small changes. She blinks more frequently, shifts position every few minutes. 1 a.m., 2.5 hours. Claire stands and stretches, rolling her shoulders. "You're doing well," she admits. "Better than subject 4 or 5. They were crying by now, begging. Is that what you want? For me to beg? No, I want you to be yourself. That's the whole point." She walks to the window, looking out at the sleeping city. "Do you know what the strangest part of this job is? I spend weeks learning everything about a person, their habits, their fears, their private moments. I know you better than most of your friends do, but you don't know me at all. We're completely asymmetrical. Then tell me something real. Not Claire. Your actual name." She's quiet for a long moment, then softly, "Emily." "Emily what? That's all you get." She turns back to me. "But yes, my name is Emily. I grew up in Portland, studied psychology at Berkeley, and somewhere along the way, I realized that traditional research methods were inadequate, too controlled, too sanitized. Real human behavior only emerges under real pressure. So you became a stalker. I became an observer of truth. 2 a.m., 1.5 hours. Emily is pacing now, her earlier stillness replaced by restless energy. She keeps checking her watch, counting down, and that's when I notice it. Her movements are slightly off, not stumbling, but imprecise. Her words are still clear, but there's a half-second delay in her responses. The sleeping pills are working. I didn't put them in her coffee. She was right to be suspicious. But while she was watching me make the coffee, I crushed 3 pills and stirred them into the sugar bowl. The same sugar bowl I used to sweeten her cup. She took it black. But later, around 11:30, I saw her add sugar when she thought I wasn't looking. 3 spoons, enough to mask the bitter taste. 2:30 a.m., 1 hour left. Emily sits down heavily on my bed, her eyelids drooping. She's fighting it, trying to stay alert, but her body is betraying her. "Ethan," she says slowly, what did you do? What you did to me last night? Only fair, right?" She tries to stand, but her legs buckle. She catches herself on the nightstand, breathing hard. You can't." 3:33 a.m., Emily. "That's when everything ends. You said so yourself." I stay where I am, across the room, watching her the way she watched me. Isn't it fascinating? How quickly the observer becomes the observed, how the person who thought they had all the control suddenly has none. She slides down to sit on the floor, her back against the bed. Her eyes are unfocused now. "This isn't how it's supposed to." "I know, you were supposed to watch me sleep, document my vulnerability, but here's what you didn't account for. I'm not just a subject. I'm a person who learns, who adapts." I check my phone. 2:55 a.m. "You taught me something important tonight, Emily. You taught me that safety is an illusion, that anyone can be vulnerable. Even you." Her head lolls to the side. She's barely conscious now. I stand and walk over to where she's slumped. I kneel down, staying just out of reach, and look her in the eyes. "Here's what's going to happen," I say quietly. "At 3:33 a.m., I'm going to take a photo of you, from directly above, just like you did to me. And then I'm going to call the police. I'll show them everything. The camera, the hiding spots, the phone with all your documentation. You'll wake up in custody, and your little research project will be over." She tries to speak, but no words come out. "Or," I continue, "I could do something else. I could drag you into one of your hiding spots, seal you in, and leave you there to wake up alone, trapped in the walls you used to spy on me. Let you experience what true vulnerability feels like." Her eyes widen slightly. Even through the drug haze, she understands. I lean closer. "Which would make for better research data, Emily? The systematic approach or the unpredictable one? Maybe I should move to phase 3, show you what intervention really means." 3:15 a.m. I pull out my phone and dial 911, but I don't press call yet. Instead, I stand up and walk to my desk chair. I drag it over to where Emily is sitting and climb up. I position my phone directly above her, the same angle she used on me. 3:25 a.m. Her breathing has slowed. She's almost completely unconscious now. In the dim light from the street below, she looks small, ordinary, not like a predator at all, just a person who made a terrible mistake. 3:30 a.m. I look down at her sleeping face, at the woman who invaded my life, shattered my peace and tried to reduce me to data points in a twisted experiment. I could ruin her life right now, destroy her the way she planned to destroy me. 3:33 a.m. I take the photo. The shutter sound echoes in the silent apartment. Then I climb down, kneel beside Emily and check her pulse. Strong and steady. She'll sleep for hours, probably wake up with a massive headache and a lot of regrets. I pick up her burner phone from where she dropped it on the floor. I scroll through all the photos of me, weeks of documentation, hundreds of images. My finger hovers over the delete button, but I don't press it. Instead, I forward everything to my own phone. Evidence, insurance, proof that I'm not crazy, that this really happened. Then I delete everything from her phone and factory reset it. I call 911. 911, what's your emergency? I need to report a break-in, I say calmly. Someone's been living in my apartment walls for weeks. She's unconscious on my floor right now. I need police and an ambulance to 1200 Fifth Avenue, apartment 12C. Sir, is anyone in immediate danger? I look at Emily, sleeping peacefully on my floor, completely vulnerable. No, I say, not anymore. 3 months later, I'm sitting in a new apartment across town, ground floor, no ceiling vents, no hidden spaces, just a simple studio with walls I can see through and locks I can trust. Emily, her real name was Emily Cartwright, I learned later, took a plea deal. 5 years, psychiatric treatment, restraining orders against all 7 subjects. She's in a minimum security facility now, where they're studying her instead of the other way around. The police found the other hiding spots in my old building. Turns out she'd been moving between apartments, targeting residents one at a time over the course of 2 years. I wasn't special. I was just next. I still don't sleep well. Even here, in this new place with its simple layout and dead-bolted door, I find myself checking corners, looking up at ceiling fixtures, wondering if I'm truly alone. But that photo on my phone, the one I took at 3:33 a.m., reminds me of something important. I survived. I adapted. And when the moment came, I chose mercy over revenge. Emily was right about one thing. You can learn a lot about someone in a crisis. What she didn't understand is that the lesson goes both ways. She learned I was resilient, and I learned that even the scariest monsters are just people who can be stopped. My phone buzzes. A text from Jason. Coffee this week, catch up? I smile and type back, sounds good. My place or yours? Normal life, returning piece by piece. I get up and walk to the window. The Seattle skyline stretches out before me, thousands of lit windows in the morning light, each one a person, a life, a story. And somewhere out there, maybe someone else is being watched. Maybe there's a Subject 8 that Emily trained before she got caught. Maybe the experiment never really ends. But that's not my problem anymore. I survived my nightmare. Now I'm just living my life one careful day at a time. Leave your like. It's quick, free, and shows me I'm on the right path. Subscribe and turn on the bell to never miss our upcoming stories. Thank you for being here with me. See you in the next story.